Episode 39, Missoula podcast. Stephen Resick, co-host here. What I love most about this show is to hear crazy stories of how people find themselves in Missoula. It almost feels like a magnet that draws in certain people. And today's guest is no different. Sam Dasios, all the way from Greece to Troy, back to Missoula. I first encountered him at the University of Montana. He is an intramural legend. He has range, and we'll dive into his story and what his company is doing and the impact that he's making. But you're not going to want to miss this one. He's a really funny dude. Thanks for joining us. Sam,
yes, sir.
When did you become a noon ball peak legend? When did you know you were a legend at the peak playing on that miniature court?
That's how we're kicking this off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a legend. I just shoot threes, to be honest. I'm a floor spacer. I'd say that, but the legend started about 10 years ago. I was just a young lad shooting threes back then. Facial hair wasn't as grown. It was all patchy and stuff. But no, I mean, yeah, me and you met playing ball. Has it been a decade?
Yeah. Definitely. Intramurals, University of Montana.
Oh, so that goes way back then. That's before the peak.
Yeah.
Because we were playing intramurals at the WAG.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, it's been a long time, but all 5-6 of me became a basketball legend. Believe in your dreams. Never say height can prevent you from anything. I'm not that good.
So you're originally from where?
I spent most of my life in Greece. I was born here in a small town named Troy. I moved to Greece when I was 2, and I lived there until I was 17 before I moved back to Troy. So the whole story, I mean, I'll make it Cliff Notes. My dad was on vacation in Greece. He saw this cute brunette on the beach. Spoiler alert, that's my mom. Falls in love, stays in Greece, gets married, convinces my mom to move back to the States. Now, keep in mind, I was born in 87, late 80s. My mom is envisioning that she's moving to like Miami,
right,
or like LA or New York. She sees all the Hollywood movies. She's like, oh, America, And then my dad brings her to Troy, Montana, which is a population of about 800. There's one stoplight. There's more bars than churches. You know how the small town Montana thing goes. She moves here and she's basically like, what the hell is this? I can't do this anymore. So I'm born 2 years into that. My mom says, basically, we're either getting divorced or we're moving back to Greece. So moved back to Greece, lived there till I was 17. As I said, then one summer we came to visit the States, came to visit Troy, and my dad convinced me to stay. I had no plans to stay. My suitcase was packed for 2 weeks. I didn't even have enough clothes or anything like that. I had already made plans to, like normal Greek life. You're going back to school, same basketball team, the same soccer team, the same friendship. Like, oh yeah, we'll get together when school starts. It's the same plans. And I just dropped everything. I definitely wasn't planned. I had no intentions of living here. And then I took a chance, man. I think I like things like that. I like little challenges like that. And you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, and definitely wasn't planned. Ended up living in Troy for a couple of years.
What was that experience like?
Oh my God.
The country kids in Troy, you not having an idea what was going on. Was that awful, brutal, fun, all of the above?
Well, the fact I sounded like this when I first moved to a small town in Montana didn't make it ideal. Borat, if you're listening, sponsor me. Everything was different. I mean, we're talking, I went from a city of 800,000 people in Thessaloniki to Troy, which is 800 people, maybe. Still had an accent. Everything was different. The language, the culture, the food, the fashion sense, everything. I mean, I showed up. I mean, if we're talking fashion specifically, right? People in Europe are a little more metro than they are in small town in Montana. Like you would dress up in like tighter clothing or like tighter jeans or like nicer shoes, and you'd make your hair, you make sure your hair looks okay. I mean, I had the Justin Timberlake, like it's going to be me spikes going on back when I had enough hair to gel. But you show up there and I see people in like ripped pajama pants and like a big old dip in, and I just felt out of place immediately. I was enamored with the whole American sports culture. I wanted to play because I was playing soccer in Greece. I had never played soccer on grass. I was playing in like a concrete slab. Basketball, it'd be on the schoolyards, concrete, no nets on the rims. It was a big city thing, right? We would have to, and as sad as it is, like there was drug use going on like crazy in the city I grew up. We would have to.
Where were you? What city in Greece?
I was in Thessaloniki.
Okay.
It's the second biggest city after Athens. So we would have to like clear out like syringes and like kick things out of the way to have enough space to like play. No nets on the rims, nothing, like that's how I grew up playing basketball and soccer. We didn't have goalposts.
Forgive my
like
ignorance.
No, go for it.
They speak English in Greece, or do you guys speak Greek? Like
It's Greek.
What's the native language?
It's Greek.
It is Greek.
It's Greek.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up speaking Greek. My dad taught me some English as I was growing up too. My parents were actually really smart about it. They had this whole plan. My dad would only speak English to me, and my mom would only speak Greek to me. Because when you're a kid, you're a sponge, right? You absorb all of that so well. I couldn't learn a different language now. I'm too hardwired.
Mm-hmm.
But they had this plan. English on this side, Greek on this side, which made it really hard in school because I would speak half English, half Greek. My teacher didn't know what the hell I was talking about most of the time. But adapt, improvise, overcome. But yeah, man, it was a city life, man. It was a lot different. So like that's why one of the big reasons I wanted to move to the States is I wanted to play hoops on an actual basketball court. I wanted to play soccer on grass. I wanted to do all these things. When I was still in Greece and my dad would like teach me about sports and all of that, I'd grow up staying up till 3:30, 4 in the morning, waiting till my mom's asleep for sure. Then I'd set an alarm and I'd wake up to catch the Lakers game at 3 in the morning to watch them. Like the Rams Titans Super Bowl back in 2000, that started at 5 in the morning for me. And I stayed up and I would watch it. And then, I'd say I'm sick and I can't go to school the next day. Oops. But yeah, man, I know we kind of got off topic right there, but it was an adjustment. It was hard. It was hard. I got picked on a lot. I looked different than most of the people in Troy. My accent wasn't my accent was a little different, and I didn't think I could hack it, to be honest. After my senior year, I told my dad I'm going back home because I just felt guilty about leaving. Greece is a very old school country. You don't leave your family until you found the one that you're going to marry. If anyone has seen my big fat Greek wedding, you know what I'm talking about. But so I ended up going back. I ended up going back to Greece after my senior year. I was like, I'm going to do what my dad did. I'm going to be an English teacher in Greece, and this is where I belong. But nah, nah. I was too Americanized by that point. I had fallen in love with the organization of everything, the sports, the friendships I had made by my senior year in school there. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go to Missoula. It's close to Troy. I have my dad in Troy, at least, if I ever feel like uncomfortable, but ended up being a solid adjustment once I moved here.
So you come to school at the University of Montana.
Correct.
What did you study?
I was an HHP major. I was in health and human performances. I wanted an exercise science degree. At first, I wasn't sure. I was studying sports journalism. I wanted to go like the Al Michaels route, do you believe in miracles type of thing. I was like, like I love sports. I want to work in sports. I like talking about sports. That's all me and my friends do. So that's what I want to do. Started doing that. I was like, I don't love it, but I want to stay in the same spectrum. So I started doing exercise science. That's what I ended up graduating with. Yeah.
Okay. And that led you to a job in that profession, or what happened next?
That led me into searching for a job. And then it was around October, I remember for sure. I ended up going Halloween shopping, and I just wanted to find something so I could wear to this party that was going on at the Elks Club. So I end up shopping. This guy stops me. We start talking. He starts asking me all these questions. And I was like, dude, who are you? He's like, I'm the guy throwing the party that you're going to this week. It's like, here's a couple free tickets. I was like, oh, cool. I end up going to this party, talking to this dude. He's like, have you ever thought about DJing? I was like, DJing? I was like, I don't know a thing about music. Like, I know music, but I don't work with it. So he's like, just come. He's like, come out to a couple weddings, see if you like it. So he's like, I think your personality, you're like really talkative, and I obviously talk with my hands, and then he's just all, yeah. And he's like, just come out, see if you like it. End up working a couple weddings, fell in love with it, and now I DJ events, weddings, and all sorts of events. Yeah.
Yeah. For our audience out there, if you've been to a wedding in or around Missoula, there's a 50% chance that Sam was the DJ, getting the people going, playing the good beats, people on the dance floor. I've probably seen you at 7 or 8 weddings.
At least.
At least.
Yeah, we always chop it up at weddings. Yeah.
That's
yes,
right.
sir.
That's
yes,
right.
sir.
Take me back to your parents specifically.
Sure.
Dad being from Montana, mom being from Greece.
Mhm.
What are the challenges and the amazing things about having multicultural parents? And how did your dad do in Greece? Was that a struggle for a Montana boy?
Hashtag struggle bus for sure. It was an adjustment for him. He missed his friends. He missed being able to have someone to speak English with. And that's why I became his best buddy. That's how it was like growing up for me. He would, because who's he going to talk sports with there? My mom, she doesn't know anything. I mean, there's not anyone there. Like even his like work friends as teachers, he didn't have anyone to speak English with. So that's why he only spoke English to me. And it ended up working out for me, obviously learning both languages. It was kind of cool though, in a sense, man, because that's how I learned how to speak English. We would get this newspaper called the USA Today that we would get like 3 weeks late because of how late, like, everything was. It could be March 17th here. I'm like, oh my God, Dad, the news from February 3rd is great. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm young, right? So he would have me read box scores or like Dodgers back then or the Lakers or the Rams back then. So like that's how he coped with the distance, as I was his best friend and he taught me everything English-wise. So it wasn't easy for him at all, but the same way it wasn't easy for my mom when she was in Troy, because my mom goes from her whole family and her friends and her job and all of that to a town where it was like a village to her. She didn't know the language that well. She didn't feel comfortable at all. So there were definitely struggles, and I experienced the struggles in both. Right? Because when I was growing up in Greece, I had been so Americanized by my dad that I felt like I didn't know where I belonged. And then when I moved to Troy, I felt like I didn't belong there either. And then when I went back to Greece, I still felt a little weird, which led to Missoula. And that was the first time I felt like, you know what? I'm going to live here. I can do this here. So it is a struggle though. It's the language is different. As I said, the people, you have to rewire yourself. Everything that you grew up until I was 17 years old. Like imagine yourselves as 17-year-olds and then being like, you know what? New language, new food, new culture, new friends, new everything, new personality. You had to change who you were. Because you guys know how small town Montana is. It's a lot different than, like an urban environment. So you really had to adapt and adjust there.
Where's your family today? Where's everyone living?
Still Greece, man.
Greece.
Still Greece. My dad is still in Troy, but everyone else is back home. Yeah.
So do you think that attributes to your personality being very outgoing, can fit in with a lot of different groups? Because if I walk into back in the day in college, sure, everybody knows you. Everybody's talking to you. Everybody wants to be around you. Similar at the Peak. You're just this bubbly guy that is always talking to people. Yeah. We'll start calling you that.
Bubbles.
Is that a big reason why your personality developed, or is that pretty common in Greece? Just very outgoing.
Well, I think you're right on both ends because I grew up in a city, right? You grew up with, my school was thousands of people. And then I was always involved in sports. I wanted to, I'm on the soccer team, I'm on the basketball team, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm used to being around people. That's my happy zone. That's where I feel comfortable. And maybe you can even translate that to my job. I'm out here trying to make sure that people have very successful events and everyone's having a good time. At the core, I just think I'm a really people person. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy putting smiles on people's faces. It's why I do what I do. And I think that did originate in Greece when I was still in the city. And that's maybe why I didn't feel as comfortable in Troy. It was a smaller town, not many things to do, not many social gatherings, unless it's, hey, you want to drive 50 miles up this road and light this bonfire and we can listen to Nickelback in the back of a truck and shotgun a Coors Light. Not that I did that. Not that I did that. But that was like as social as things got back there, and yeah, that's why. Yeah. Oh yeah. What do you mean you remember that? I never did that. But
so what would you and your dad do for fun in Troy? Was he a hunter or was he just into sports? Like,
Sometimes we would go from the front yard throwing a baseball to the backyard and throwing a baseball. It was lit. It was incredible. No, man. I mean, not much. He wasn't like an avid hunter, not like an avid fisherman or anything like that. He was dealing with teenager Sam being a pain in his ass, to be honest. Still me trying to adjust to a different life. And then on top of it, being a teenager and just having that rebellious teenager stage. But that's all he would do. I mean, his personality ended up just coming to my basketball games, coming to my soccer games. He like lived vicariously through me, I almost want to say, but that sounds horrible. Not in that sense, but it's Troy. There's not much to do. I feel like in a lot of small towns, your personality ends up becoming high school athletics, especially if you have a kid, playing sports. That's just what you end up doing. Yeah.
Rapid 5 questions.
Rapid 5. Whew.
You ready?
Okay, Sam,
We'll
your
see.
first time into Missoula.
Yes.
What's your initial memory of Missoula, Montana?
Initial memory was, is there any Greek place here? Is there any Greek food place? Number 1 euros, Beeline.
Can we add an asterisk these rapid 5?
Hit
From
me.
this point forward, I would like you to answer these questions in the Greek accent.
Okay, this is easy for me. Yes, continue.
I love it.
It's not even no hesitation. Just go. Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice.
What's your go-to coffee place in Missoula?
Go-to coffee place, probably Liquid Planet, because it was one of the first ones that I saw when I first moved here, and I am child of a habit. And Liquid Planet, I would say, yes. The new one on Brooks is great. Why are you laughing at me? I don't understand.
How about restaurants? When it comes to food, what's your go-to? I would assume it's either Acropolis or number 1 euros.
So assumptive of you. No, for food, restaurant, I mean, I like 1889 quite a bit, or if I want like a casual sports environment, probably looking at the Tamarack or the Marbar or one of those places.
Perfect. What zip code do you live in?
As my mug here says, 59808. Pede enya miden ochto miden.
I have no
If
idea.
you want it in Greek too.
Yeah,
You don't have to edit it. I didn't cuss or anything like that. You're
one
good.
more time in Greek. What's your zip code?
You know what? Hold on. Camera's right there. Pende enya ochto miden ochto. 59808.
What to you is the weirdest thing about Missoula?
How half the town makes no sense with the one-ways. I feel like half of the city is perfectly structured like a normal city blocks, and the other half is just weird slant streets and one-ways. It took me forever to be able to adjust to that, especially driving. May or may not have gone down a few wrong ways for the first like 2 or 3 years living here, but also I didn't do that.
What do you love the most about Missoula?
Diversity. Honestly, it was diversity for me.
Sure.
That's why Troy was difficult for me, because everyone was like the same. And then I moved. Can I add a little tidbit about Troy? Because this is going to be great. I'm not going to say any names or anything, but as I said, I was feeling uncomfortable there, right? I was like, small town, people are judgy. It's like, I'm just trying to fit in, but they're like, here's the outsider, right? There was one time in my first week of school that someone was like, dude, come here, let's just hang out. And I was like, okay, cool. He's like, so you grew up in Greece. You're Mr. Dasios' nephew. My uncle was a teacher there. I was like, yeah. So I started to have an actual conversation. I'm like, okay, this is easy. I'm going to like have a friend. And he's like, so Greece, like, dude, I've never met anyone that grew up in Africa. I'm like, oh, okay.
Where am I?
Dude, I was like, I'm making friends. No, I'm not. So yeah. Oh. Anyway,
Well, on the diversity, is there a large Greek?
there's actually like a Greek Orthodox church here.
Oh,
There's a Greek church, a couple Greek spots to go eat as well with people that actually speak Greek and stuff. So if I ever feel like the urge or like I miss speaking Greek, like I'll actually go in there and I'll chop it up in Greek, talking to those people. So that's really fun, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Is there a particular book that you've read or an author that's influenced, changed the trajectory of your life? Book that formed who Sam is?
Not necessarily a specific author, but when I was kind of like struggling with the whole like adapting to different places and stuff, I would read like motivational books. I would read books about overcoming struggles, whether they were like mental or whatever it may be, things to just like make you feel more comfortable in a new situation. So to be honest, I can't remember a specific name or an author, but I would read books.
A lot of self-development.
A lot of self-development. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So being Greek, I'm questioning the name Sam doesn't sound very Greek. Is that really your name?
Spoiler alert, my name is not Sam. Well, it's what I go by, but my driver's license says Soterios Georgios. That is, or Soterios Georgios to say it how it's supposed to be said, but that's my full name. Yeah.
Why don't you go by that? That's awesome.
Because when I first moved here, people didn't know how to say it, and they would call me Sagittarius. I've been called Cerritos recently. Yep. Shout out to that. People would butcher my name, especially in Troy a lot. Also, my grandfather, he was actually in politics and I'm his namesake. So his name was Soterios. And, back then they told him, you can't run with no name like Soterios. They're not going to think you're American. So it's like, all right. So he shortened it and started going by Sam. So I basically just did the same thing. But no one in Greece calls me Sam or Sammy or anything like that. It's just Sotiri. Back then, they just call me my real name. But a few of my friends here know my real name too, and they'll call me it. But yeah, Sam's just so much easier.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, next time I see you in the gym, it's just
Soterios.
Sagittarius.
Yeah, dude, I'll mix it up. Yeah, just think of anything. Yeah, any long word that starts with S, go for it. Yeah. At this point, I think I've heard it all.
Well, let's jump into what you're doing now.
Sure, man.
You got that gig as a DJ. You checked it out. You're like, hey, this is kind of cool.
Right.
Tell us about how that developed, being a DJ and being the man, the myth, the legend of all weddings.
It honestly started as a side job that I would maybe do like 3-4 times during the summer. I'd go out and I'd like shadow at a wedding, or I'd make a few announcements here and there. I wasn't sure. And then fast forward, the company I was working with, I ended up managing this company. I ended up liking the technical and like the office stuff of it. I liked sending out contracts and invoices and doing all the phone calls and really connecting with people. So I ended up managing the company I was with until about a year and a half ago or so, where I ended up building such good relationship with fellow vendors, whether it's event planners, photographers, caterers, whatever it may be. And remember how I was kind of talking about taking a chance? Like, I like getting out of your comfort zone. I felt like I was in a comfort zone and I had no more room to grow in the job that I was at. So I decided to just step out and start my own thing. I'd started my own company. I had my first solo year last year. Everything went incredible. I was actually busier than any other year that I've been under the previous employer. So kind of just bet on yourself. I bet on myself. I launched out. I did my own thing, and I could not be more grateful for it, man. So many good people that I work with, and it's been incredible.
What do you love about the wedding scene that keeps you coming back? Like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do for my life, at least for now. I know maybe there's something else you might do in the future, but why is this so special to you?
It might be that social aspect that I was talking to you about, that probably growing up in a city and always wanting to be a part of a group and doing things. I like putting smiles on people's faces. As corny and cheesy as they may sound, there's no better feeling than like you work a wedding, you make sure everything goes good, the music is right, the announcements are good, the vibes are right, and then at the end of the night, like bride or groom come up to you and give you a hug and say, "Oh my God, thank you so much. Everything went so perfect." That right there, for me, that's the thing, over money, over anything like that. And as far as like my personal life, a lot of the closest friends that I have now, I've actually met through the wedding industry, whether it be like a photographer or a caterer or a videographer or an event planner. Some of my closest friends, I wouldn't know if it wasn't for this industry. So I like that, man. I like being able to facilitate and making an event be memorable. That's what I feel like people remember most out of events. It's like that I had a bite to eat, I had a drink, I partied. That's just the overall experience. I like being able to add to the overall experience.
So the wedding's a little dull. Maybe no, the wedding was good. The ceremony was great. And you're having a hard time getting people out on the dance floor. What's the go-to song to get the people going?
I mean, as generic as this is going to sound, I mean, you play the Cupid shuffle when everyone thinks they can do it, right? I mean, it's very specific instructions, whether it's the Cupid, whether it's the cha-cha. But then after that, you got to keep them there. You know, it's all about reading the crowd, because every wedding has an entirely different crowd, every event. Or like if you're working bars, it's a different crowd. You know, you just got to be able to adjust it and personalize it to that. So, I mean, if you see an age group that's like over 40, you know, they're in their 50s and they're jamming out to like Shook Me All Night Long, you want to keep it to like 80s rock. If you see a bunch of people swing dancing the entire time, you don't want to kill the dance floor, go into the swing dancing music. If it's a younger crowd, the 2000s bangers that me and you still love, obviously, you know, that's what you want to lean to. But yeah, say it's like a dead dance floor and like no one's doing anything, hitting a certain line dance, depending on the age group you have there. I mean, if you hit Copperhead Road, there's going to be at least like 15 people that know they'll dance.
Down in the Bitterroot, that's probably the go-to.
There you go, right? So Copperhead Road, or you can hit a Footloose, or you can hit, as far as like an organized one, yeah, Cupid or Cha-Cha. Or it's hilarious watching the Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nae Nae. I'm so glad that's not popular anymore. That was awful for a while. But yeah, probably one of those. And those always make for the best pictures for photographers too. Because, I mean, if the dance floor is only packed for one song of the whole night, which, I mean, that's not the case, but you know what I'm saying? That's what they remember. They'll see like 50 people out there dancing, and the photographers get the best shots off of those. So
yeah, that's amazing.
I was just going to ask you, is there a particular song you hope you never hear again at a wedding?
So we'll throw it back to the Cupid shuffle. Or the cha-cha.
those are your money makers.
Oh,
You put in your earplugs during that song?
Dude. Yeah. I mean, there's certain songs during events. And I mean, you guys, like any wedding you go to, has there ever been one that you don't hear the Cupid shuffle or the cha-cha slide or
Not
like
really.
Fishing in the Dark, Footloose, Wagon Wheel, Sweet Caroline. You know.
Play the hits.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Gets the people going.
Are you doing this full time now? Like,
Yeah.
This is your gig.
Yeah. And I didn't know how I was going to go in my first year, you know, like I didn't know if I could be able. I thought maybe I'd have to get something else on top of it in my first solo year. But in my first solo year, I ended up being so busy. I was busier than any other year. So yeah, it's my full-time thing now. And it's honestly getting to the point where I have to turn down so many events because I'm already booked. So the next step would be possibly hiring someone.
Wow.
So yeah, man, it's growing very quickly.
So transitioning from, you know, being the manager to the owner, what's I know it's probably not
Right.
fun a lot of days, but what's the best part about that? What's the worst part about being the owner? I mean, is there a lot of pressure on you?
I think the best and the worst part are all the same answer. You are responsible for everything. You're responsible for everything. I mean, as far as like your marketing goes, the contracts, the invoices, if anything were to ever go wrong, it's not like, oh, well, there was this happened or that happened. No, it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like you take ownership of everything. But the best part is also that you rely on yourself, man. You set your own schedule. You work for yourself. You work the events you want to work. That's the best part. You don't have to answer to anyone. You handle your own business.
Sagittarius, you are such
Sagittarius.
a great storyteller. Give us a story of a wedding that just didn't go well. Something happened. Like you've got to have some great DJ stories of just,
You know, and I'm going to exclude names, but
yeah, no names, no dates, no details, no locations, but
remember when I was telling you I used to like shadow weddings and I wasn't like fully out on my own? The first wedding that I went out solo by myself, there was an instance where the groom disappeared for 3 hours, almost missed the entire reception. We hadn't even gone to the first dance yet. Everyone thought that I knew what was going on because the groom had come up and talked to me. He's like, I'll be right back. Well, right back ended up being 3 hours. And when he came back, he was, let's just say, not in condition to be standing and doing the first dance and all of that. So we ended up pushing things back by like 3 hours. We did the first dance, and then we only had 45 minutes left for an open dance floor. Now, keep in mind, the night was so awkward for everyone that they ended up getting hammered. So obviously everyone's really drunk at this point, and I open up the dance floor. You know, bride and groom are off arguing because it's obviously a massive thing that had just happened. And I still remember it. We had a 45-minute open dance floor. I was like, I got to condense as many hits in this as possible. There's no warming up. There's nothing. We just got to go for it. And it was an older crowd there. So I still remember the first song I played was Bob Seger's Old Time Rock and Roll. Now, keep in mind, I said everyone got hammered because it was so awkward, right? This 82-year-old man got out on the dance floor and started swing dancing with his like granddaughter. And the dance floor was a little wet by people spilling drinks and stuff. He slipped, he fell, he cracked his head. It was concrete. I am the only one that noticed this. The dance floor is still going. Everyone's dancing. I look at this man and he's like barely moving and he keeps checking his head. I'm like, so I cut the song. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, can we direct some attention here? What's going on? Then he rolls over and I notice there's some blood on his hand. I'm like, you are kidding me. Cut the song. They end up calling the ambulance. The ambulance rolls in. No music in the background. You know, people are like, yeah, play some music. It's like, bro, this guy's getting loaded in an ambulance. What do you want me to do here? So they end up loading the guy in the ambulance. Ended up being okay. Took him to the hospital, and that was the end of the night. And after that, I remember being like, nah, I'm not doing this. I was like, I will never do this again. But that was honestly the first one I ever did solo. After that, it's been an amazing ride. Like after that, everything's been great. And obviously with the years keep going, you keep getting better, you keep improving. But that was the one story that I thought I was done. Never again. No. Dude, just imagine it. Like imagine the songs playing in the background and there's this man on the dance floor holding his head. His granddaughter's like, help, help. And everyone else is just hammered like, Bob Seger.
Maybe you don't know this, but do we have information on whether that couple is still together to this day? It did not start out well.
I do not have information on that. That was about 12 years ago. But if I had to bet.
Okay. This might be a little too much, but
no, hit me.
While you're DJing weddings, can you tell by looking at the bride and groom whether they're going to make it or whether they're not going to make it? Do you have a good read on that from all of the weddings that you've done?
I mean, there's been situations where I've seen a bride like contemplating whether to leave in the middle of like the dinner or anything like that. You can tell when two people are fully invested in this and they love each other and they're here for it. And you can tell there's some that it almost seems forced, like it's something we had to do. And you hate seeing that because then you can really like tell what happens. And I mean, there's been situations where, you're friends with these people on social media and then you see it like months, it's like pure months after the wedding. And, someone's selling a wedding dress or someone's selling an engagement ring. And yeah, it is sad. It is sad. Yeah. But I mean, as I said, that's like a 1% type of thing. Most of the time, everything, like 99% of the time, everything's amazing. But you can always tell if something's a little off for sure.
What's coming for you next? What's in the future? You're going into wedding season here, but how do you stay at like the forefront and innovate? Are you just relying on new hits, new music coming out, or how do you continually grow your business and separate? So 2 questions there.
Sure.
What's coming for you in the future, and how do you continue to be cutting edge?
What's coming for me is busy wedding season. As you just said, it actually starts earlier than it did last year for me this year. So starting mid-March is basically every weekend until November. And all over, Kalispell, Whitefish, Polson, Missoula, Alberton, wherever it may be. But another thing that may be coming next is, as I told Steven, I'm kind of looking into possibly hiring someone because I've had to like turn down so many weddings as a solo business. There's just one of me. So that's coming as well. But marketing, Google ads, SEO work, that gets your name out there for sure. But I also do rely on so many good wedding vendors that I've become friends with. And, they refer you and venues refer you and pushing for reviews, people leaving reviews. That's another way people find you all the time. I've been blessed enough to have every review be a 5-star. So that really shoots you up on the Google rankings and everything like that. But staying on top of new music for sure. We live in this TikTok generation now where so many songs become popular off either Instagram Reels or TikTok. Like being on top of that, being on top of Instagram, posting a lot on social media, because a lot of brides, if you think about it, they'll go to like Pinterest or they'll go to TikTok or they'll go to Instagram and they'll look for videos like show me you're good. I don't want to just look at these reviews. Show me something. Show me a recent party. So you got to be on top of posting content quite a bit. So that's how you stay on top, in my opinion, at least. You just got to keep producing content.
Yeah. Do you ever wear down from working every Saturday? I mean, is that kind of brutal on you?
It's tough because the majority of people, have the Monday through Friday jobs. And then when they can do something fun, it's like Saturday or Sunday. So they'll be like missing Grizz games for me, right? Because wedding season extends all the way till November.
Right.
Missing Grizz games, it sucks. So like every single Saturday when people are like, hey, we're going out on the lake. Hey, dude, we're having a party here. You want to show up? And it's like, no, because a lot of times like I can't. Fridays, Saturdays, I'm working. So it's tough. It kind of cuts into like friend time and things that you want to do, but I'm not complaining at all because I'm having a blast doing what I'm doing. So I can't complain, man.
It's awesome. Well, we're so pumped that a little kid from Greece, Sagittarius, made his way to Troy, the boonies.
Man.
What is that? The Trojans? Troy Trojans?
The Troy Trojans. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be the Troy people look like they're from Hills Got Eyes or whatever it's called. What was that movie called?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Was it Hills Have Eyes?
Yeah.
That movie was creepy.
Yeah. And then just a successful entrepreneur and a legend in the intramural and ball scene.
Oh my God.
He has range. And seriously, I just say this with all respect. I've been to so many weddings that you've been the DJ of. You're so good. You're so amazing at interacting with the guests and with the bride and groom and just keeping the thing flowing. And so if you're planning on getting married in the future, audience, check out Sam. He does a really good job. Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Scandinavian. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you, man. Scandinavius.
Insert other long S word.
Scandinavians.
What's up, Missoula? This is Nick Balla, producer of the Missoula podcast. We truly appreciate you hanging out with us as we dive into the stories that make our city special. If you could do us a quick favor and follow the show wherever you are listening, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, maybe you're watching on YouTube, so hit that little subscribe button. It really helps us out. Head on over to www.themissoulapodcast.com for more information, and we'll see you next week.